Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. Hiring, it's something every business leader has to tackle. And today, we're going to do a deep dive into that very topic.
Oh, I like it. The hiring process. That's a beast, right?
It really can be. We've got two fantastic sources to guide us today. One's a super in-depth guide from Smart Recruiters, and then we have another one that's all about how to nail attracting top-tier talent. So, if you're ready to bring someone awesome onto your team, you are in the right place.
Absolutely. We'll break it all down step by step. You'll be hiring pros by the end of this.
You got it. Now let's say you've made the decision. Time to hire. Smart recruiters, right off the bat, they emphasize something so important. You really got to nail down the why behind this hire.
It's true. Are you trying to, plug a hole in your skills, Or is your team just swamped, workload's insane? Or maybe it's strategic, you're expanding, going for growth.
Exactly. And that why, figuring that out, that's like step one.
I always say it's like building a house, right? You wouldn't just start laying bricks. You need the blueprint. Understanding that why, that's your blueprint for hiring. It shapes everything.
I love that analogy. And speaking of building, Smart Recruiters is all about building a solid recruitment plan too.
Oh, for sure. Everyone on the same page internally, HR, hiring manager, the whole team. Plus, how are you going to get the word out? What's the strategy? What's the interview process even going to look like? It's got to be planned out.
Absolutely. It's like you don't go into a jungle without a map. Speaking of putting your best foot forward, let's talk about that job description, that first impression. Smart recruiters, they go deep on this, and it's gold.
Yeah, so many people just list duties, requirements, done. But a killer job description, it's so much more.
So how do we make it amazing? Smart recruiters has some ideas. It's not just what they'll do, it's who they are. What kind of person are you looking for? Do they fit the company culture? Even how you talk about salary, benefits, it all matters.
Think about it. You're scrolling through jobs online, right? What are you going to click on? Some boring list or something that actually makes you excited to work there.
It's about grabbing that attention. Okay, so your recruitment plan is set, your job description is stellar. Now you need to actually find those awesome candidates, right? Smart Recruiters reminds us just posting the job, that's not enough.
Nope. You got to be proactive. It's like, I always say it's like dating. You don't just wait for them to find you. You got to be out there.
I see what you mean. Get out there, network, hit those industry events, connect with people on LinkedIn directly.
Exactly. Hunt them down. And then when those applications start pouring in, you got to have a system. How do you sort through it all?
Right. Smart recruiters, they're big on that initial screening process. Whether it's HR doing a first pass or the hiring manager jumping in early, you got to find the best candidates efficiently.
And that takes us to the next step, the phone interview. It's not just checking boxes. It's about feeling out their communication style, their personality. Did they seem like they'd fit in?
And don't forget, it's a chance for them to get a feel for you too. It goes both ways.
Exactly. And if that phone call goes well, then you're ready for the in-person interview. Now that's where things get really interesting. But we'll save that for part 2.
Sounds good. Can't wait to dig into that in-person piece of the puzzle.
All right, so we left off talking about in-person interviews. I think it's super important to remember that, each stage of the interview process, it should really have a clear purpose.
You're so right. It's not about just like asking the same stuff over and over to different people.
Exactly.
Early interviews, those first one-on-ones, it's about like confirming those basics.
Yeah.
Do they have the skills on paper? Getting a sense of their personality. Would they mesh with the team?
And then later on, you can really dive into the specifics, experience, skills, that kind of stuff. Hit them with some, hypotheticals, case studies, see how they think on their feet, problem solving, communication, all that.
Smart Recruiters even mentions group interviews. I think those can be really useful, especially if the role involves a lot of teamwork.
Oh yeah, group interviews, they can be super insightful. You see how they interact, how they handle different opinions. Do they bring a positive vibe? Those soft skills, they're just as crucial as the technical stuff, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about something that can be, a little tricky.
Yeah.
Assessments and background checks. Smart recruiters, they're big on transparency here.
Yeah, candidates need to know what's up right from the start. It's not about tricking them or stressing them out. It's about being fair and upfront.
And assessments, they can be so helpful. Not just those standard tests. I mean, personality assessments or even simulations to test the actual skills they'd be using. It gives you a way deeper view than just an interview.
For sure, for sure. And those assessments, they shouldn't be the only thing you go on, right? It's one piece of the puzzle. And then you've got your background checks. Got to do your due diligence.
Okay, so interviews done, assessments checked, background checks complete. Now comes the fun part, making the decision. Smart Recruiters has some great advice here.
They're all about having a top pick, A and D, a backup, which I think is so smart.
Yeah, because sometimes things fall through. Maybe salary negotiations goes south, or they get another offer. Having a backup means you're not starting from scratch.
Exactly. Okay, so you've made your choice. You're ready to make that offer. What needs to be in that offer letter, that all-important document?
Smart Recruiters gives a super detailed list. Salary, benefits, start date, even what happens if things don't work out, severance pay, all that.
It's legally binding, so it's got to be clear, All the important stuff has to be there.
And be upfront about what's, negotiable and what's set in stone. Salary, often that's up for discussion. Flexible work, maybe. But then things like vacation time, company holidays, that might be non-negotiable.
Transparency is key. And then, of course, there's all that paperwork, task forms, proving they can legally work, all the fun administrative stuff.
But wait, there's more. The offer letter, that's not the finish line. We still have one super crucial stage left, onboarding.
That's where the real journey starts. Setting your new hire up for success, integrating them into the team, making them feel like they belong.
Smart Recruiters has some awesome tips for making onboarding, like a genuinely good experience. It starts even before day one with a welcome letter, reaching out, making them feel connected.
Little things like having their desk set up, all the tech they need ready to go, even assigning a mentor. That can make such a difference.
A mentor is so valuable, especially when you're new somewhere. They can answer questions, give advice, help them navigate the, unspoken rules of the company.
Absolutely. It's about that human connection. And I love that Smart Recruiters emphasizes onboarding isn't just checking boxes, it's an ongoing process.
It's about supporting them, making sure they have what they need to thrive.
Yeah. So we've gone from realizing you need to hire all the way to onboarding. It's quite a ride.
It really is. And every hiring process, it's going to be a little different. What works for one company, one role, you might have to tweak it for another.
And that's exactly where we'll pick up in part 3. We'll talk about tailoring your process, what mistakes to avoid, and some final thoughts on making your next hire your best hire ever.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've covered a ton about hiring, from figuring out you need someone new all the way to getting them settled in. But every hiring process is its own thing, right?
Yeah, you got to be flexible. You might need to change things up a bit depending on the job, the industry, even how the job market's doing right now.
So how do you know what to change? Say you're hiring for some super technical role. Any special interview strategies for that?
Totally. You might want to throw in coding tests, technical assessments early on. Make sure they've got the chops. Give them a chance to show off what they can do. Something beyond just talking.
And what about when it's crazy competitive? Everyone's after the same rock star candidate. Attracting them, I bet that's a whole different game.
Oh, for sure. That's when your employer branding, how people see your company, it's got to be top notch. What makes you stand out? Got any cool perks, unique benefits? You're selling the opportunity as much as you're checking them out.
That makes me think about those hiring horror stories you hear about.
Yeah.
The process takes forever or nobody communicates. What are some common traps companies fall into and how do you avoid them?
Oh man, one of the biggest. Not being clear about expectations right off the bat. If a candidate's in the dark, how long it'll take, what's next, it's frustrating. They might even drop out. Communication is key. Even if it's just a quick email, got your application, or hey, here's an update.
What about that, tough conversation when you got to tell someone they didn't get the job? Nobody likes doing that.
It's rough, no doubt. But you got to remember, every candidate deserves respect, even if they weren't the one. Giving them some feedback, even a little bit, it can make a big difference. Shows you value their time, leaves a good impression of your company.
Such good points. So as we wrap up this deep dive on hiring, any last words of wisdom? A golden nugget to leave our listeners with.
Hiring, it can be a tough one, no question. But it's also so rewarding. When you find that perfect fit, the skills and the personality, someone who gets your company, it's a win for everyone. Don't be scared to try new things, learn from what happens, and always try to make your hiring process fair, effective, something that shows the best of your company.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has given you the know-how and the inspiration to make your next hire your best hire. Remember, it's not just filling a seat, it's finding someone who makes your team, your whole organization, even stronger. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Stay inspired with weekly podcasts. Subscribe to the Tech Upskill YouTube channel for exclusive weekly podcasts on trending tech skills, career tips, and expert insights. Don't miss the chance to learn, grow, and upskill. Hit the subscribe button now. Let's make learning a part of your weekly routine.